Welcome to this very special episode of Rebooting Resilience. I'm going to be taking on the character of Alicia Strong, the CEO of Right Match Singles. And Right Match Singles is about to have a very bad day. You will follow the story of the cyber attack and data breach affecting Right Match Singles, and I call in 3 experts to try and help me salvage the situation. I'll also be live on Twitter throughout this event at Lisa Forte UK, asking you how you would advise Right Match Singles to handle the situation. So sit back and relax, and let me introduce you to Right Match Singles. Hello, I'm Alicia Strong, and I'm the CEO here at Right Match Singles. We are ranked in the top 3 largest online dating and matchmaking providers worldwide, and we have now exceeded 6 million active users. We are firmly on track to hit our £4 million turnover target this year, and we believe we've achieved this success due to our ability to provide a high quality and discreet dating experience for customers. Our users log in through the website or one of our new mobile phone applications. From our data, the majority of our users seem to be located in the UK, Finland, Norway, and Japan. So how does it work? Well, we have a clever database for managing and matching users. It's called the Romance Platform. It utilizes state-of-the-art, military-grade, 100% secure AI and machine learning to help people find their one true love. I guess we hit the headlines several times recently when several famous A-list celebrities announced they were using our platform. I think they use it because of the value we place on user privacy. And that's what we pride ourselves on. The high degree of respect we have for client privacy. We currently have 2 offices in the UK, one in London and the other in Bournemouth, although the Bournemouth office really only houses our IT team. So we're relatively small, 30 odd staff. It's a lovely family feel here at Right Match Singles. Wait, so what did the journalist say? Oh my God, this is a disaster. And the website's down too. Oh my God. Okay, look, I've got, I think I've got plans here somewhere. Anyway, look, we could get Sarah Armstrong-Smith in. She'll know what to do. She's an expert in this. So let's just give her a call, and I need to speak to her immediately.
Hi, Sarah. So we've had a bit of a problem. As you know, we've been alerted by a journalist that a tiny little leak of quite a large amount of sensitive data has been leaked. And our website's down, and we're under a bit of stress here. So my first question kind of is, you know, we sort of know in a way that the data's gone, but we don't really know 100%. We haven't got the evidence. Is there any way we can not say anything?
I'm looking at you to say no, absolutely not. So you've asked me here to be your guidance and advisor. So first things first, you need to get on top of this. You need to take action and you need to be accountable. So whatever's happened, no matter how big or small you think it is, you need to take action. So the first thing is you cannot lie, you cannot deny. Try to establish some facts. So when you said little breach, you know, what, to your knowledge, okay, big breach, has actually happened, how and when. So I need you to really think about putting yourself in the, as if you were the end users, your customers. What are they feeling right now? How can you reassure them? How can you build trust with them? Do not speculate. So I really need you to be really factual about what you believe has happened and when and how. Now, you're not going to have all the answers right now, but some things you need to be able to do is never say, I don't know.
Okay.
Saying you don't know means you've got no control.
A journalist contacted us and told us that he's found all this data and we've seen it and it's there.
How do you know, can you categorically attribute that to your company?
Yeah. It's got like their private messages and photographs that they've sent each other.
And what
on
type
the platform.
of, like nude pictures?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what I mean. So you now have to think about putting yourself in the position of your customers, how they're feeling right now. So, and you need to be empathetic to what's going on. Now, you'll probably find they're really embarrassed, they're really concerned, particularly if they're nude pictures or, you know, they're going to be quite candid messages and that kind of thing. So your objective is to control the situation, control the narrative. Have you got any ability to be able to get that information back before it gets put into the public domain?
Well, this was the thing. So the credit card information is encrypted, which I'm pretty sure means we're good with that. But I was wondering, because that's encrypted, can I just say it was all encrypted?
No.
Oh.
No. I really need to emphasize this point, Alicia. You need to be very factual, very truthful. Do not lie. The more you lie, the more you trip yourself up, because if it looks further down the road that actually you have exaggerated the situation or you've not been truthful about some of the information that's subsequently been leaked, it's going to come back and bite you. It's going to come back to bite you hard. Actually harder than it probably feels right now, if I'm honest with you.
How do I communicate to my customers? Because my website's down. I can't log into any of the social media. I mean, what's the best way to sort of tell them that this has happened?
Do you have any backups? Have you got any ability to have a holding page at all?
Yes, we do, yeah.
Okay, so I think first and foremost, as I said, you need to control the communication. So one thing I would sort of suggest to you right now is the minute this gets in the public domain, you're going to have potentially lots of things firing at you on Twitter, on Facebook, with the media. It's going to be a whole storm. Try not to be embroiled into that conversation. I just need you to be putting out messages. But I also need you to establish a regular communication pattern and do what you're going to do when you say you're going to do. So don't overpromise if you can't deliver. So, you know, don't say I'll give you an update in 5 minutes if there's no way that you can give an update in 5 minutes. Equally, don't say I'll get back to you next week. I need you to be in control of that messaging and what's being said as the CEO, and try to avoid any marketing fluff. We take your security really seriously, blah, 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 fluff, fluff, fluff. We need you to be really, really specific, really open.
It's the tagline to our company that we take your privacy seriously. It's bad, isn't it? Really bad.
Well, you know, but I mean, you've got good things in place, right? So you've got good security, you've got privacy and those type of things. So I think, you know, as much as I say you need to have the comms, you know, in the background, have you got security experts? Have you got people who can, you know, look at what's happened and how and when and how you may have been breached, how they may have to exfiltrate data, that type of thing?
We've got we have a team. I mean, this is part of the problem. I mean, I haven't told any of my staff. My IT team know, but and my other execs, but that's it. Nobody else. So I mean, am I supposed to be telling all my staff? And do I tell them everything? What do I tell them?
err on the side of caution. You need a communication plan, but it's not a one size fits all. So you need to look at your different stakeholders. What is it they need to know? Now, your in danger is you do need to communicate to your staff, but they also need to know what to do if they're contacted by a customer, what to do if they're contacted by the media. I don't go into too much information, because your problem is the minute it's communicated, the potential it has to get leaked into the public domain. Okay. And this is what I sort of said to you, I need you to control the narrative, but equally your employees can also be your strongest advocate as well. Okay. The journalists will try and find any which way possible inwards. So if they can't get a straight answer from you, they'll look for anyone else. So they'll go to your management team potentially, or they'll go to your comms team, or they'll just look who works there. And that they'll look for a story even where there isn't one. So you absolutely must communicate, but just be very mindful about what you communicate, and make sure that they're not trying to talk to journalists, they're not trying to talk to customers. They have an escalation point and they know what they're supposed to say. Okay. And again, I would avoid the no comment, because no comment is a comment.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, yes. And it makes you look guilty, doesn't it?
Well, it just makes you look like you're trying to hide. So actually, rather than saying no comment, like here's the name of my press officer, or here's the name of the person who can give you that information. So it sounds really simple, but it just giving them instructions about what to do, how to do it, when they're going to receive updates and communications. The other thing that I would be mindful about is if any of those people affect sort of VIPs. I know that you've got
Michael Gove,
famous people,
Michael Gove and Lady Gaga.
That is like cannon fodder, I think, to media. If they're able to get, very sensitive information regarding famous people, they might not be interested in your average Joe, let's say. Yeah. But if there's anything to do with VIPs, famous people, anything like that, anything that you believe is really sensitive and has already been put out there, you need to get in front of that. You need to be contacting their representatives.
Okay. Thank you, Sarah. You've been an absolute lifesaver. I'm going to go and try and implement some of this now, and hopefully...
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, do come back to me if anything changes or you need more advice.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hi, Kevin. Thanks so much for coming on the call. We're in a big mess. We're in a huge mess. Data is everywhere. It's just everywhere. The only thing that it turns out we were encrypting was the credit card information. What do you think? Yeah. When we collected a lot of data.
Can you, I'll tell you what, can you just tell me what you've actually collected so far in terms of the data?
Phone numbers, email addresses, home addresses, all the messages they sent each other, all the photos they sent each other.
It seems like a Christmas list of data you've got here. So you've got consent to collect this data, right?
Some of it. Like the passports and stuff were probably a bit unnecessary to collect.
But you collected it anyway?
A little bit, yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Okay. Another question, very quickly. Who is running point? Who's running this? Is this down to you now? Or are you running? You're taking lead. Okay.
It's all up to me. I'm managing this.
Yep. Okay. Great. So, right. First and foremost, have you contacted the ICO?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. That might be fine, but can you tell me when the breach took place?
About 3 days ago.
About 3 days ago. So you do realise that you have 72 hours to report a breach to the ICO?
So I need to do it kind of right now then, really?
Yeah, so if you can get yourself a little pen and paper, because you're going to need to take some notes, you need to contact the ICO. The breach has led to data destruction, data exfiltration, and it sounds like you've been collecting stuff without consent, from what you're telling me.
I mean, consent, it's like they consented to some stuff. I mean, you know.
Mm-hmm. I'm getting the gist of this. So you kind of need to tell people what they're giving away, and also you need to make sure there's appropriate controls. But we can go into that in a minute. So contact the ICO is the number one thing right now. You need
Yeah.
to let them know, okay?
Okay.
You're going to be asking me questions about the type of data, what happened in the incident, when did it occur, and what's in scope generally. And it's a few questions about yourself as well, okay?
Yeah.
So that's your number one priority. In terms of the actual breach itself, you're telling me you're running point. So have you got your incident response plan that we can refer to?
Well, we had a plan. I put it on a USB stick and I've lost the USB stick.
Okay, that's not great, but you know, it's not all is lost because you will have a backup of this plan, right? No. Right. Okay.
Not really. I mean, we have some backups, but we weren't like, that wasn't really our thing, our vibe as a company.
Okay.
We were kind of more like contemporary.
Incident response plan isn't really a vibe or a thing. It's quite important that you have it so that when these situations happen, people can panic and everyone's running around like headless chickens, not knowing what's going on. There's no coordination from a central point.
I'm realizing this now.
But there you go. Okay, so the data seems to be encrypted or decrypted.
So the credit card information is encrypted, which I think is good.
Yes.
Nothing else was. So also the usernames and passwords to all the accounts are a little bit public now.
Okay, so you're going to need to coordinate a plan. It needs to be a concise, well thought through plan of exactly what they're going to do. Okay. So in terms of the remediation side of things and the actual containerization side of things, has the breach stopped? You know, have you got any reports, any forensics, any logs or anything from a scene?
We've got a forensic company coming in, and far as we know, that the attackers have put out a little bit of data, and they are threatening that if I don't pay the ransom, they'll put out all of the data for all of the clients, including our VIP clients.
Right. Okay. I completely understand where you're coming from with that. Now, have they still got access to your infrastructure with their C2 controllers? This is sort of command and control. So the malware will be in your estate, essentially. It's already taken stuff out and put it out on the dark web, right? Have you turned the tap off?
You mean they could still be in my network?
They will still be in your network unless you've got them out.
Okay, need to find out if hackers are still in network.
Yeah, that would be good. Okay, so you need to containerize the threat. Essentially, if you can think of it like, I don't know, maybe a bath running, right? The tap is filling up, the water is filling up in the bath, you need to turn the tap off. You need to check some logs. You've got firewalls, I would like to imagine, and you've got different things like SIEM, Security Incident Event Management tool.
Probably.
Okay, right. It would be good to engage your IT team. Have you actually done that? I don't know if you're necessarily the best person. I'm sure you've got the best intentions, but have you contacted the IT team?
Yeah, our IT team are great. They're working ridiculously long hours at the moment. They're working with the forensic company. They told me that I needed to, because the login information was leaked, apparently I need to get the clients to change their passwords. So I was thinking I could just send them all an email with like a link and just say, click the link and change your password. I mean, is that not?
That might not be the best way to do it, because right now you still have a problem in your estate. So you need to containerize it.
So the other thing I want to mention, one of the guys that works in my IT team, I found out that he was on Twitter and he's been posting all of this stuff about how chaotic it is. They're saying I'm not even a good CEO, which is ridiculous because I'm amazing. And they're posting all this stuff. I want to know how do I stop them doing that? And can I fire him and pin this all on him?
Okay. So what you need to do, firstly, is communicate with the HR department, okay? Communicate with your HR department and whoever is dealing with the communications to your company, because you've got two sites, right? You've got your main site in London as well. I think what you need to do is have a coordinated communication going out to your team. The breach took place, it sounds like 3 days, and you probably haven't done this yet, which is not great. So it's good that you know about this, but I'm a bit more concerned about what you don't worry about. You could have an insider threat issue. So you kind of need to stop all of your accounts, turn them all off. Nobody should have access to your infrastructure apart from a few admins, which you're going to use to actually get to the bottom of what's going on. Nobody should be communicating anything on any social network or anything at all. But you can go back and look at what you have in your policies in terms of when people sign up to your company and start, that they shouldn't be communicating to the general public on any platform without prior consent. Well,
so what do I do about these passwords and usernames that were leaked? I mean, does that mean that anybody online now can access anybody's account?
Essentially, what you've done is open up a really big can of worms here. So what I would suggest is, like I said, is stop all inbound and all outbound connections, okay? The device which was compromised, or devices, have you established that? I'm assuming you know exactly which devices they are.
Yeah, we've thrown them in the bin.
Right. You can't do that.
Oh.
You can't do that. What sort of bin have you chucked these things in?
Just the bin outside my house.
It will be. Okay, so really what you have now is a risk of those clients' accounts being breached even more, all right?
Okay.
There's account takeovers, there's credit cards, you told me you've got passports, there's identity theft, the list goes on. It's really, really not a good place that you want to be in. The database that contains all this information must be taken offline so that nobody can access it and nobody can call the database for information, okay? Now, I know what you're thinking, all right? But essentially, nobody's going to be able to use Match right now.
No one's finding love this weekend.
Nobody's finding love for the next few weeks, my love.
Oh, God. Weeks. Yeah. Okay. I think I've got a lot to do, and I need to speak to the forensics company again and see. I might just put you in touch with my IT team and the forensics team and see if you guys can talk technical together, because I don't really understand it. I'm going to contact the ICO. I think if we could have another call in like a couple of hours and I'll brief you on what they've said. Thank you so much for your call, and hopefully I'll still have a job tomorrow.
They're running it now. Yeah, I'm watching.
This is NCC News. Our top stories this hour. Police seize £7 million worth of drugs smuggled into the port of Southampton. The new high-speed rail project has suffered another delay, now expected in 2045. More on those stories shortly. But first, the famous online dating site Right Match Singles has suffered a serious cyber attack. Members' data was stolen and held to ransom by attackers believed to be backed by the Russian state. The stolen data is rumoured to include private messages, email addresses and credit card details. The attack happened on Friday morning, and cracks in the dating company's management of the incident are already appearing. NCC News spoke with an employee of the dating site who told our reporters, "The attack was inevitable. The company never took security seriously and will probably have to pay the Russians to get the data back. We are in chaos," he said. The company's yet to confirm how much data has been stolen. The Information Commissioner's office will undoubtedly have Right Match Singles in its sights following this breach, and several high-profile clients of the company have taken to social media urging others to follow them in seeking immediate legal action. From interfering with elections, manipulating social media, and now stealing sensitive personal data, the scope of Russian cyber hackers seems to be widening. John Romans, CEO of cybersecurity company Pen Testers UK, told us that Russian attacks are becoming increasingly brazen. Mr. Romans was also damning in his evaluation of the dating company, saying Right Match Singles has failed to implement even basic cyber hygiene measures to protect members' data. More on this story as it breaks.
Oh my God, I need a lawyer.
Hi Charlie, thanks for calling me back. I take it you've
No
seen the
problem.
news report.
I did have a quick look at it. Yeah, it sounds like things are pretty tough over there at the moment.
It's really bad, and
Yeah.
I just needed to get in touch and ask you to help us. And what do we do? What is the sort of? I think I've told a few things that I shouldn't have said. I was advised
Right.
not to tell people that all the data was encrypted, which I
Okay.
did.
Right. Okay. That's not good news. I mean, just I've seen obviously the newsreel, but can you just give me a quick synopsis of what's gone on? Just from your perspective, the headlines.
Sure. So a journalist found a load of our customer data online,
Yeah.
and we verified that it was our customer data. It's names, addresses, phone numbers, but not just that. It's their personal messages from the dating site and images that they've sent each other that are identifiable.
Okay.
And it's just everywhere. The credit card details are encrypted, so I think that's probably a good thing.
Yep.
Basically, we've brought some experts in to help us, but
Yep.
the website's been down, and it's just been a nightmare. And the attackers they're asking for some money. Otherwise, they say they've got a load more data that they're going to release.
Okay. All right. Well, look, I gather we've only got about 10 minutes today, haven't we? So we're probably going to have to take this at a fairly high level and come back to some of these points in a bit more detail. But I think we're going to need to move pretty fast to help you on some of these points. On the factual side, because it always helps to divide these things up into three buckets, basically. What's going on the factual and investigative side? What are the legal and regulatory issues that flow from that? And then what are the comms issues that flow from that? Who do you need to speak to about this? So on the factual side, you said you'd retained somebody to help look into it. Who have you retained and what are they doing at the moment?
They're a forensics company that's based here in Bristol, and they are sort of just looking into how it happened and that sort of thing. I think they're going to produce some reports for us.
Okay, have they produced anything yet?
I think we're expecting anything any day now, so
okay.
It should be imminent.
That's the first thing I'll probably recommend that I step into and help you out with, because there'll be ways of structuring their reports, which presumably will contain some pretty candid information that could be damaging to the company.
Yes.
There are ways of structuring their reports to make them privileged, so protected from disclosure, because based on what I've seen on that newsreel, there could well be some regulatory scrutiny here for you guys, and also potentially some claims. We'll come on to that in a minute. But it's really important, I think, to protect those sorts of reports with what we call legal privilege. So I think one of the work streams flowing from this needs to be for me to wrap my arms around that process and contact those guys and try and make sure that their reporting is subject to privilege.
And does that mean that no one can see what they say in the report?
Absolutely right. Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
And I think it's really important to talk about your internal comms. Actually, I know we said we deal with comms separately, but basically in this sort of case where unfortunately you've had a big incident and there will probably be some regulatory scrutiny, maybe some claims, everything that you guys as a business team say internally about the incident, whether through WhatsApp, email, whatever your means of communication is, they could be disclosable to customers, to your regulator, etc. And I've got to tell you two things right now. One is you're looking a bit worried. You're going to have to tell me why in a minute. One is you need to make sure that all of that is preserved. You can't get rid of any of it. And the second is just be really careful about what you say. What's up? You look really perturbed.
Well, I may have just sent some of the executives a message saying, can we just make this look all good to shut the customers up?
Okay.
So I can't delete that and shred it.
You can't delete it and shred it. We're going to have to deal with that in some shape or form in due course. I mean, it may be that we're able to manage this incident and nobody seeks disclosure of your documents. So it may not be the end of the world, but definitely stop sending those sorts of communications. Anything you send to me seeking my advice, my legal advice, is privileged, and there may be ways of getting privilege around a broader set of your internal comms, but again, I think we'll have to take that offline. But definitely cease talking candidly about the dispute on electronic means internally, I would say.
Okay, so all the jokes and the gifts that we've been sending.
Yeah,
Good.
not good. No, that'll be real fodder for cancel on the other side if any of your customers bring any claims against you.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we'll talk quickly about the regulatory issue.
Yes.
You said that there might be some issues with from a regulatory perspective.
Yes, there may well be. So when did you discover the incident? When were you first aware that you'd had this issue?
About a week ago.
About a week ago. Have you told either the Information Commission's Office or regulators in any other jurisdictions yet about this?
I've only told the ICO that
Okay.
it's happened. I was
Yep.
advised to tell the ICO, which I did.
Yep.
I've said that we're not entirely clear on everything that's happened yet. I
Okay.
haven't updated them, but they haven't asked for an update yet.
Okay. And did you tell them within 72 hours of becoming aware of the incident?
Yes, I was
Okay.
told to tell them immediately.
Okay. Well, I think what we'll need to do, probably because this has been on the news now, I suspect they're going to come knocking pretty soon and ask for more information. I think what we need to do, one of the work streams will be to work with you guys to prepare a proactive update to the ICO, which explains in more detail what's gone on and what you're doing to fix issues. And they're going to be particularly concerned to understand how this happened and what the state of your security posture was in the run up to this happening, because if your security was not up to scratch, that could be a basis for them looking to fine you, for example. So on that, have you worked out yet how this happened and how strong or otherwise your relevant security was?
We're not 100%, but the thing that I'm a little bit worried about now is that we had a penetration test done that made a lot of recommendations that we hadn't implemented for about 8 or 9 months.
Okay.
And it was, it's just one of those things. We're busy. I didn't do it, and I presume from what you're saying that I'm going to have to hand that report over.
They might ask, the ICO might ask for it in due course, possibly, or opponents, if you have claims, may ask for that in due course. But we're not there yet. I think what we'll have to do is spend some time looking in more detail at exactly how this happened, what security issue may or may not have caused it, and then use that to shape how we explain to the ICO the position. I think that's going to be really, really important here. Just while we're on that subject of what I would call data protection communications and notifications, I understand that this affects all of your customer base, this data loss? Okay. And just talk me through again what data has gone missing. You said encrypted credit card information, but what else?
So we collect sort of obviously names, email addresses, phone numbers. We also collect their passport photograph page to prove their identity. We've got messages between people on the platform, photographs, some of which are probably pretty sensitive. Some VIP clients as well who are in that. Okay.
I think you haven't notified the customers yet formally. I'm guessing they will have probably seen this on the news.
We put a holding page up that told them what had happened, but we haven't been able to set up a call center or really proactively discuss with them what has happened.
Okay. Well, you've probably got almost certainly actually got a legal obligation to notify them and to try and look after them effectively, to try and shield them from the impact of this. And even if you hadn't got a legal obligation, which I'm pretty sure you have, given that they know about this anyway because of the news coverage, I'd imagine from a sort of PR and comms perspective, you are going to want to deal with them and communicate with them within a really effective way. So I think we're going to need to speak to PR advisors, and I expect you are going to need some support to set up some sort of call center and other methods of comms to communicate with them effectively. And we should also talk about, and again, this should be another work stream offline, what, if any, I guess, follow-up protection you're going to offer them, for example, credit monitoring or anything like that, because they will be really perturbed by this, to say the very least. And there's a real growing market in individuals who've been subjected to this sort of issue bringing claims against the business. So I'd say, I'm not trying to be depressing, but I'd say it's almost inevitable that some of these people are going to instruct lawyers to bring claims against you. So the steps you take now to try and mitigate the impact that they may suffer are going to be really important in terms of trying to mitigate the impact of those claims.
If we do decide to pay the ransom, does that
Yeah.
look like a mitigating step? Does that look positive for us, or does that look negative? And what
That's
are
a
the
really
considerations?
tricky issue. So at the moment, certainly in the UK, and I appreciate this is a very international incident, isn't it? Because you've got customers all around the world, and we've only touched, by the way, in the UK bit so far. I think we're going to need to look at what are your reporting and other obligations in each of the other affected jurisdictions. So let's come back to that. But just taking the sort of UK lens for a minute, it's law enforcement in the UK currently doesn't really condone, in most cases, paying ransoms. It happens, but we'll also need to look at whether you might be committing a criminal offence by paying it. Typically, you wouldn't be, but for example, if we're on notice that there are terrorists behind this, then you could be in more trouble. So we need to look at that very, very carefully, I think. We also probably need, excuse me, some intelligence on who the attackers are. You said they were a Russian group, but presumably we'll be able to identify, or maybe able to identify, who they are and whether they've got a track record of actually releasing data in return for receipt of payment. So lots of things, I think, to weigh up there before you think further about whether or not it's a good idea to pay.
Okay, and if I pay, is that likely to have a positive or negative impact on claims brought against my company? You know, can I sort of say, well, look, I tried everything, I paid the ransom, in a positive way, or does that look negative?
It's always difficult from a sort of, I guess, on image perspective, paying a ransom. How does that look to your public? I guess if you pay the ransom and that stops the data becoming more widespread and released publicly, for example, on the dark web, that may help to mitigate the impact of some of the claims. But that is just one of many factors, I think, to weigh up when considering whether or not to pay a ransom. It's complex. I think we're going to need to give that some detailed thought.
Okay, and you can probably, I don't know if you can tell me, but the outlook for my company, is it, I mean, in your experience, is this looking good, or is this looking a bit
I'll be
curtains?
completely candid. This is going to cost you guys a lot of money, I think. And I don't know how financially you're placed at the moment, but so worst case, and let's start there, and it could get better. You could be subject to regulatory scrutiny and potentially regulatory fines, both in the UK but also in other jurisdictions where your customers are based. You could well be subject to claims from individuals, both from your user base but also your employees. And it's worth noting there that certainly under English law at the moment, these people don't have to have suffered a financial loss to bring a claim against you. If they are, for example, can establish that they have been distressed or have otherwise lost control over their data, it's theoretically possible for them to bring damages claims against you. And there's a growing market in that. So there's a lot to grapple with here. I think the steps we take over the next few days to try and manage and mitigate the impact of that will be absolutely critical in seeing where we go. And
so
the
have
sooner,
I sort of made a mistake here by not bringing you in earlier? Should
it's
a
going to
lawyer
sound
have been the first person I should have called?
it's going to sound a bit self-serving to say yes, but to be candid, yes, because what we can do at the outset is try and wrap privilege around your internal communications, around your reports from third parties that you hire, and just to try and steer this in a way that mitigates the legal impact and risk, and therefore the financial impact and risk for the business. But look, we are where we are, and we'll do our very, very best to turn this around for you.
Great, thank you. And we'll have a more detailed call over all of those issues, I think, in the next few days.
Yeah,
Thank you
I
so
think
much,
that's really
Charlie.
good.
I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. We'll speak soon.